Hey guys, back with another episode of Foulkin Around. I am Jen, and today I have Coach Vanessa Leonard. First of all, let me just say she is awesome. She is a Christian stress and fitness coach. She's faith based. So for me, that was important because I really, everybody needs faith. I really believe that everybody needs faith in their journey, but she's a faith based holistic health coach and creator of the Holy Healing Stress Model. And it's a signature framework that she's developed. So I'm really excited to hear about that. We're going to have her talk about it. And we're just going to talk about, you know me, talk about women's issues and everything that has to do with the female body. So let's get that started. Thank you for being here, Coach Vanessa.
I'm so excited to be here.
I am so happy to have you on because like I was talking to you before, I just started this new carnivore diet, and again, we had said it's probably not exactly the best for long term cuz the carnivore diet does have a tendency of too much protein boxes your kidneys and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Doing it for short term kind of get you motivated. So, your program is something different, and you and I had talked before because I wanted to find out exactly what it was that you did, and we talked about your program. So, if you can give us a rundown about your program, I'd really appreciate it real quick.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been in business for just over a year, and I'm a faith-based health and fitness coach. Since we actually last spoke, I'm actually starting to focus more on stress, even because I find out that is what a correlation that so many of our rooted problems actually is on stress. And so
Mhm.
it's interesting, most times stress is related to emotional health, and that's what I'm really, really big on. But also to the holistic stress model that I'm excited to be rolling out. That's what I'm actually working towards with my new business model, and that's going to be focusing on the four different pillars of health and actually how stress pertains to those four different pillars. So I'm really excited about that.
Stress plays a huge part. They keep talking about all this cortisol, cortisol, cortisol stuff with everything that I've researched and stuff like that, which is it's just another stress hormone. Is that correct? Would I be right in saying that?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's actually fascinating. I heard something on a podcast a while back, and it's always stayed with me because when I think about food and like habits, and by the way, I am not perfect by any means, but it's just something that I'm always like working on and trying to be mindful of. But one thing that I heard on this podcast is think about our ancestors, right? Our ancestors walked 15 to 18,000 steps a day. They were out in the sunlight. And then, two, stress back then, speaking of stress, they were running from a bear, running from a lion, running from an immediate threat of danger. Whereas now we have chronic stress. We don't have that restful state because we're always thinking of our to-do list. We're stressed out with finances, or we're stressed out in the office or in projects and with children, and we're always being pulled in multiple dozens of different directions in our lives. So that's a chronic stress. So we don't know what it's like to have that just immediate threat of danger and just to, okay, I'm safe now, I'm up a tree, or whatever it is.
Right,
And
right.
that chronic stress is playing a huge role on our health and long term, and it's tied to multiple different diseases that we're now seeing, unfortunately, in this day of age.
Yeah, it's terrible about how, because like obesity causes all sorts of issues, and I'm considered morbidly obese, I believe, and you just had a baby a couple of months ago, and you look fabulous, by the way.
Thank you.
And I'm just obviously it works, whatever you're doing. So,
Yeah,
but
sorry,
what's
finish your
that?
thought.
No, oh
Oh,
no,
finish your
I was just gonna say, it's like there's so much that stress plays into, and it just boogers up your hormones and does some terrible stuff to people. And I mean, everybody's like, "Oh, reduce your stress, reduce your stress." Yeah, that's easier said than done because it's not like what you were saying. It's not like we're running from a bear. We're not running from a bobcat. I'm not running from coyotes. I am literally in a house with 3 German shepherds that sometimes stress me out because they have the brain of a 3-year-old, and they think some things are funny and they're not. But I mean, stress, it changes over time. You have the young kids, you have young kid stressors. I don't have young kids. I have old woman stressors. I'm in menopause. So it's like the stress is a really huge thing. What makes your whole your whole plan, what makes that different from these fad diets? And fad diets are terrible, like, by the way, and
They're
I
made
I have my own opinions on that.
Yeah, yeah, they're made to be temporary. I will say the first thing that I really hone in on with my clients is mindset because, if you don't switch your mindset up to who you want to be and who you're working to become,
Mhm.
you're gonna fall off the wagon because everyone does it. We all do it. But it's really the mindset shift of no, 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 today's a new day. Like I just make a better choice with my next meal. I just, instead of turning on and binging and watching a television show, I'm going to take a 10-15 minute walk. You're always, who is the future self? Who do you want to become? It's making that mindset shift first, and then from there
Mhm.
building on those habits of who that future self of you is. So essentially, my model is different because I do have clients who fall off the wagon, and I do, I
Mhm.
check in with them, and they'll ghost me for a week or so, or it's clients who've done the program. I check back in with them and say, hey, like how's life? How are you doing? And oh well, I gained 10 pounds or whatever it is, and but you know what? They're like, at the same time, going through your program really transformed my way of thinking. Like I'm not just giving up. It's to be that 1% better than who I was with the decisions that I made yesterday. So essentially, the
Yeah.
first thing we really hone in on is mindset. Saying that 10 times fast. But from there, I really focus on what type of stress you have. So again, this is a brand new model that I've really been praying and researching on actually, and I'm rolling it out this summer. So it's not even active quite yet. But what
Oh,
I'm
that's
doing is I'm
cool.
building,
First look here.
yeah. So I'm building a stress test though, essentially to find out what type of stress you have, whether if it's a physical stress or a mental stress or emotional stress, spiritual stress. I will say this, up to 70, even though I read this past week, actually 80% of women are carrying some sort of emotional, I hate the word baggage, but emotional trauma that they've never
Mhm.
released, they've never healed and processed. And that was my issue actually. And it's one of those things of like, I had no idea that I was holding on to this emotional trauma until I experienced something similar. And I'm like, why does this feel so familiar? And I'm talking 12 years later. And essentially the definition of a trauma, it doesn't need to be, heaven forbid, but a sexual assault, or it doesn't need to even be that intense. The
Mhm.
definition of a trauma is just that you experienced something and you just did not feel safe.
Yeah.
You did not feel that your needs were comforted in that time of need. And that could have been a storm. That could have been a natural disaster. It could have been anything. And from there, there's a signal that happens in your brain and your emotions that just kind of is there. And either you process it and you feel your emotions and you speak to them and you speak to why and what is happening, or, unfortunately, I buried mine and I just ignored them. And I found distraction with working a lot and with, friends and social gatherings. But it wasn't until I experienced a similar situation that I'm like, why does this feel familiar to me? And I really had
Mhm.
to unpack those. And that's when I started processing emotions that I buried over a decade ago. So it's pretty crazy. But all of that to say, stress plays a huge factor on our lives, and the stress test is going to figure out what type of stress you have, and then from there we start speaking to it. So if it's physical stress, we're going to talk about different physical things that you can to relieve that type of stress. If it's emotional, we're going to have emotional practices to alleviate that stress. If it's mindful, if it's spiritual, there's different tactics that we're going to be addressing that first, while also approaching it with a health and fitness in mind.
That is so awesome because I do think that excuse me, I do think that your emotional state has a lot to do with your health. I think it has a lot to do with, what because like for me, I can tell you right now, I know that I eat my feelings and I eat boredom. So I'm just sitting there snacking away. And, if I can still do that, but if I would just change up what I'm eating, it might not be so bad. Like instead of like last night, I was watching a show with my husband. We're sitting in bed and I'm popping M&Ms and I'm like, wait a minute. First of all, this is not okay. This is not part because I'm trying to do the carnivore diet just to give myself a kickoff.
Mhm.
Not good. I already blew it. And after I was doing so good all day, and I'm like, and I'm sitting here not even thinking about it.
That's habitual eating. Yeah.
Yes, and it's like that's the kind of stuff like especially like I don't bring in my office. I don't bring any food up here anymore because I notice I will eat a whole bag of chips. I will eat a whole something if I have it up here while I'm just snacking while I'm doing, whether it's podcasts or classes or editing my book, because I'm one of those that I have traumas that I've buried. So I
Mhm.
bury myself in work.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's just and then I'll sit there and I'll habitually eat. So that's one thing that I learned about myself is if I don't have it around, I'm not gonna want it. I'm okay.
Yeah.
So
I
and
definitely relate to that. I can 100% relate to that. But you know
yeah,
what? Kudos to you, because acknowledgement is the first step. Taking a step, like, what am I doing? Like, because we are so on automation mode. Automation
yes.
mode, like, yeah.
Yeah, do it without even thinking.
Yeah.
And
Is it
so, like,
Mhm.
so how do you feel about fad diets? Because, I was telling you about the carnivore diet that
Yeah.
I've started kind of, it's a modified carnivore diet. But, how do you feel about fad diets like keto and carnivore and, some of those other ones? I don't know what else, like there's an egg diet or something. There's all sorts of weird stuff, intermittent fasting. I mean, it works for a moment, but then it stops working. And that's what I consider to be a fad diet. How do you feel about those?
Yeah. So I hate the word diet because I grew up in the 90s, 2000s, and I feel like every pop star was on who could be the
Yes.
thinnest and the prettiest, and it was just ugh. And so I hate the word diet, but I get that it serves its purpose and its reasoning, right? I
Mhm.
do think a lot of them there can be good in terms of just kind of kickstarting your metabolism or throwing off your metabolism. I think a lot of them can be temporary, but just so you notice that you acknowledge that it's not going to be a long-term goal. The long-term goal is to change your lifestyle, right? Because that's
Right.
where true sustainable change happens. So again, I commend you for doing carnivore. I actually did carnivore. I did it postpartum right away after both babies, actually, because it's a good way to decrease inflammation quickly. And
Mhm.
I'm recovering from Hashimoto's hypothyroidism, so we store like if you have thyroid issues in any way, you store a lot of inflammation or any actually autoimmune disease. So it's a quick way to kind of decrease inflammation. So I think I only did it for a week though, both times. But
Right.
anyways, so the biggest thing is protein and whole foods. That's essentially where the nitty gritty is. That's getting away from, I hate to sound like RFK, but like seed oils and sugar and all these processed foods. I'll be really honest. I think we're doing a Cinco de Mayo dinner tonight, but this is, I think, my third or fourth night in a row having Mexican food, which is crazy because we actually don't eat that much Mexican food. But I've been feeling great this past week, and I'll tell you why. Because the first night we kicked it off with a restaurant in the area that makes all their food with natural oil, or the healthier oils, as well as organic
Yeah.
vegetables. I felt fine. Like, how many people can say that they went to Mexican food or ate
Exactly.
out and
How
like they
many
feel
people I have
exactly
never eaten Mexican food where I felt fine afterwards.
right? husband last night, he made, I think venison tacos, and, like, again, we ate it
Oh, that sounds
gluten-free.
fabulous.
Oh, it's so good. I don't even like ordering out, like, going out to my yeah, we love our food at home. But yeah, so, like, we had all natural ingredients, avocado, olive oil, I did dairy-free on mine, but we focus on high protein, gluten-free. I mean, we have all the condiments, though. I mean, it's just yeah, like, getting away from those processed foods is what really is going to
That is
see a big
key.
difference in your
That
health.
is so key, and I am so excited to see what RFK does. Not gonna lie,
Me too.
I really love hit that guy, and he's like, "We need to get away from processed foods." I'm over here going, "Yes, please," because I am tired of, because and if you're like Whole Foods, why do they cost so much? Why do organics and why do the healthier foods cost so much?
I thought about this too, actually, like probably in the last year, because I'm just like, gosh, like, why is it so much costlier to have grass-fed beef? Like, because you think like you're not
Right.
like you're. So what was I'm trying to think what was the answer? I'm like blanking. I have an infant. We haven't mentioned. Like I
You're
have an
fine,
infant.
you got mommy brain, it's okay.
I'm gonna take a nap after this. But no, so think about the pesticides and the things that keep the food, right? And
Yeah,
in storage, and I don't know necessarily all the scientific terminology. But if you think about the corn is easy to feed, to throw to the animals, and the sludge and all the crap. Whereas like when you're actually having pasture raised grass fed beef or organic vegetables, you're not using pesticides. You're not using so um it takes a lot of organic as terms of like not things to store the food properly, if that makes sense. So it has to be
yeah.
done quickly and it has to be done efficiently. So it's just another example too, actually is corn. I try my best not to eat corn because no one technically can digest corn properly. Like it's just a
Obviously.
very grain in your stomach that you can't really digest. But
No.
also too, think about even so in order to chuck the corn, in order at the end of the season, I'm talking fall, I'm talking, October, like, but I'm talking like when the corn is being harvested, they
Mhm.
actually have to kill the corn in order to chuck it. Because if you think about corn stalks, they are so hard.
They're tough.
But oh my gosh, like they kill it with chemicals first. Yeah,
Yeah.
in order to break down and to husk the corn and to harvest the corn, like, you have to break it down with chemicals first to kill it. Well, those chemicals are going in us, like, that we're
Mhm.
consuming, and so even putting corn aside and not being able to digest it well, think about the chemicals that it's doing to not only to kill the plant to be harvested, but what is it doing to us? So,
Right.
essentially, there's a lot of things that's into it, and I understand there's more in depth, and I remember thinking about it like a while back on like why pasture raised and grass fed is actually costlier than not. It made sense then. I'm drawing a blank right now, but hopefully that was a clear enough answer for you.
Hopefully, we can figure that out. Yeah, no, I mean, I don't think anybody really knows the answer. I think, I mean, I understand that when it's organic, it needs to be gotten rid of quickly, which means but I really honestly believe that they wanna keep and here I'm going conspiracy theorist right now. They wanna keep
Oh,
us
bring it.
fat,
I
lazy, and
love
compliant.
it.
They wanna keep us fat, lazy, and compliant, and for some of us like me, it's working because, like, I'm just like, I don't wanna do anything, I hurt, everything that they give you out on the market now, it causes inflammation, it causes lethargic, tendencies. There's other reasons that you wanna just you just don't wanna go outside, there's so many different things that go into being healthy. You have to get sunlight. You have to go outside and breathe the fresh air. We have 3 dogs. I'm allergic like crazy to these dogs, but if I go out, yeah, I love them. They're so cute. But but if you need to go outside, air out your house, all that stuff so that the movement of the air and stuff like that, that just helps, getting outside, getting your exercise, the sunlight, the fresh air that gets rid of all of the, if you're opening your house and you've got the air, fans going and stuff like that. Just airing it, you just feel better. And a lot of people feel better. They're like, "Oh my god, it's so nice out." And it's like, "Yeah, you should be outside every day." And if
Mhm.
you can't, like my job, the only time I'm going outside is when I'm walking to and from a van because I transport people. So, going to and from a van, I don't get much time to be out in the sunlight
Mhm.
and the fresh air. So I'll roll down the windows in the van. I don't care if it's 95 degrees out here in Arizona.
Mhm.
Van
Arizona.
windows are rolled down. I love the heat. I am good. I
Yeah.
don't care.
Yeah.
So the air conditioning's on in the back. Everybody else is fine. But I understand how important it is. But especially nowadays, nobody has time. And I guess that's like that's something you're gonna have to it's one of those things where you have to make the time.
Yep. I mean, I think most people, I mean, I do have a friend who literally her job is she says she gets easily 8,000 steps a day and she's out in the sun all the time.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I'm so jealous.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, most of us, we have to be intentional. We have to make the time in order to get outside. Grounding is also huge. Have you heard of grounding? I'm sure you have.
Yes. Oh, yes, I have.
I
Yeah.
was like, after I said, I'm like, oh, I'm sure you have.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to. It's been super rainy here in Ohio, but I'm looking forward to once we have the 70 and 80-degree weather mornings to be just getting out there both barefoot, circadian rhythm, that healing. I'm
Yes.
just so excited. Like that's huge. We have to be intentional in order to make the time work because it's not just going to fall into our lap.
And I love the fact that you also understand, because you're one of the few Christians that does understand that there is earth is healing. Or, it's not like there's some that out there that are like, "Oh my god, you're putting, it's idolatry, you're putting idols before." No, it's working with.
Mm-hmm.
And it is part if we're using the Christian umbrella, God made this for
Yes,
us.
absolutely, 100%.
Use it.
Yes.
And I really appreciate that even though I am not a Christian, I'm pagan and I follow some weird and sometimes interesting belief systems, but it all boils down to it all boils down to the same thing. We go outside, we ground, we do kind of the same thing. We have a higher power that we pay attention to and that is very important to us, and I really appreciate that, and you're not one to sit there and be like, "No, this is how it has to be done." You are very much go to your higher power. This is, you do have a framework, but it's still,
Mhm.
whatever higher power, you're not pushing your beliefs on people. You
Right.
meld them into your programs, which I absolutely love about you.
Thank you. Thank you.
No, thank you for being one of those people.
Thank you. Um, yes. So, I mean, everything that you just said, I 100% agree. Like, I think again, we have to make the time, and think about how much time, like, again, that we're essentially sitting in front of TVs, and
Right.
our phones, and I mean, I can absolutely speak to that. I want to say I can't remember if it was first trimester when I was really sick or if it was just starting postpartum when I brought him home from the hospital. But all of that to say, I remember a good 1 or 2 weeks, I just sat in front of the TV. And granted, it was either because I was very sick or if it was he was just home. Either way, I just
Mhm.
remember I was not very mobile. I was getting so much screen time and I felt it. And I
Yeah.
felt it. Like, I'm just like, it's no wonder why we are dealing with depression. It is no wonder why we
Yep.
are dealing with, mismanaged emotions and, just all the
Anxiety,
anxiety and I mean everything.
everything.
Like, and I'm like, it's because we're sitting in front of screens all day. We need to get
We're s
outside, as you said.
we're sitting in front of screens and the storylines. What stories are we listening to? What stories are we watching?
Yep.
I mean, let's be honest.
Hmm.
'Cause I don't really watch TV, I watch movies. We'll do my husband and I will do a lot of streaming, we'll watch our shows, which we just got done with you, which was very good, by the way.
Good to know.
So good. So good. But so I don't have my screen time is me writing and being I'm writing my books. Like right now I'm editing one of the books that I'm very, very proud of and cannot wait to come out. But I'm trying to not do the instant gratification and just send it off. I'm trying to actually think things through and take my time. Patience is not one of my virtues. And so we get so much screen time, and depending on the screen time that you're getting, if you're getting, I think when I was younger, you can see my ADHD is working today overtime. When I was younger, I like to watch a lot of the I don't want to say soap operas, but they're nighttime soap operas. They're, shows with, like Hallmark movies and she's some, rural county girl who meets the big, CEO of some company and they fall in love. It gives you a distorted view of a lot of things in real life because I'm
Yep.
sorry, marriage is not that. Health is not going to the gym for 6 hours a day. You don't need to do all that mess. You know, um, Eating is not, oh, I'll eat this burger and I'll just work it off. No, it's a constant, if you want total fitness,
Mhm.
mental health, and you got to shut off the TV. You have to. It's not good what's coming in. I remember an old Christian singer that I used to know and used to love, absolutely love, Carmen. I don't know if you
Oh,
remember him.
yeah.
Yeah.
Not that I'm super familiar
He,
with his music, but my parents listened to him. Yeah.
of course, because I think I'm your parents' age. But he always said, I remember his famous line was garbage in, garbage out. And
Mm,
that resonated with me even to this day. It
wow.
resonates with me
Wow.
because I'm like, okay, what am I taking in? Who am I hanging around? What is my goal here for my life?
I love that you
And
your social aspect too, because that's huge. Is
yes.
who I think we're the average of the 5 people that we most spend time with. And
Mhm.
granted, I'm very much in my infant bubble still, so I'm not seeing much friends these days. But regardless, though, I mean, it's so true. Like, who are we talking to? Who are we interacting with? Who are we engaging with? Who are we spending time with? I mean,
Mhm.
that plays a huge influential a component into our health and well-being.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's yeah.
It's massive, and I think it, I think a lot of these companies are because I mean, really, honestly, more people are going straight to streaming. Nobody that I know has cable anymore. Where everybody's got like Netflix, Prime, stuff like that, where they can. First of all, that's part of the instant gratification that
Right.
we all have right now because it's like, nope, want to watch it right now.
Hmm.
So, and we get that. But
Yeah.
also, nobody, I don't, my God, when I was growing up, we'd have to run to the bathroom at commercial break and come back real quick. Make sure you were, the first one in the bathroom because if your sister got in there, she was going to purposefully take forever so that you'd miss the first 5 minutes of the show that you're watching on TV.
Yep.
But it's just a lot of places I don't think are. I think it's expensive to get like cable and stuff like that because we're all finding that you spend $20-$30 a month on all these streaming systems. I can watch it right now and I don't have to wait.
Hmm.
So I just think that if people like you can listen to podcasts and stuff like that while you're doing a walk
Yep.
or while you're doing yard work. I
Hmm.
just think it's very important that we get up and get off the couch. Like here, we only have certain times like we don't really want to be outside at like dark because coyotes and mountain lions come out and stuff. But we have to be careful or we have to, make sure we have bright lights and stuff like that to scare off the coyotes, rattlesnakes. You don't want to step on a rattlesnake. It's
Hmm.
not fun. Um, but we have, there's some things that you do have to make time for. And I'm sitting here and I'm talking to you about it, making time. And I'm like, because I'm so busy, blah, blah, blah. But really, honestly, when I come home at 6 o'clock, I sit my fat ass on the couch and I really could get out and walk a dog.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. And not just saying you, like, I mean, it's just,
No, I know what you mean. But yeah,
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
that's one of them. It's just like, yes, I do have time as much as I say I don't. And yes, I do a lot during the day, but that doesn't mean I don't have 5 minutes to walk around the block with my dog.
Hmm. Hmm.
And they're
Favorite.
getting exercise too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. My favorite is actually getting out first thing in the morning. Like,
Mm,
again, we talked grounding, but even before that, like, sometimes even when it's dark out, like, and granted, I haven't in a while. I'm hoping to soon. Once our son starts sleeping a little bit better. But
yeah.
yeah, my favorite is just getting out first thing in the morning and just checking that off my list. I'm like, okay, got a mile, got 2 miles in. Took 45 minutes of my morning. And then granted, that's a little much. But even a 10 to 15 minute walk. I mean, that's a Kickstarter. I encourage you to do that before having a cup of a cup of coffee. Drink a glass of water, go for a walk, and then have your cup of coffee, and see how much that'll decrease your stress, decrease your anxiety and your jitters throughout the day too.
Okay. Um, how long do you okay, so 10-15 minute walk is fine.
Hmm.
How long do you like for those that work out? Because since I'm old, I'm fat, I'm the epitome of lazy. How long is like? Because I was working out for like last week. I had worked out almost every day, but I had only did it for like 5-10 minutes.
I mean, honestly, anything is better than nothing, right? It's baby steps. If as long as you are, again, I say this to my clients, aim to be 1% better than with the decisions than who you were yesterday. So I mean, I that's where the whole all or nothing mentality comes in, right?
Right.
Why so many people fall off the wagon, like what's the like, is this the best route? Like, just aim to be 1% better than the decisions than the person you were yesterday. That's the
Mhm.
best answer that I can give you. And obviously, if you have goals in mind, if you want a certain physique, if you want a certain to maintain, then yeah, absolutely, let's chat. But really, like, yeah, I mean, honestly, that's amazing, and keep that up. Or like, instead of focusing on working out every single day, switch that to 3 to 4 days a week, and do walking, you know taking your dogs out and running with them, or whatever it is. Find
Mhm.
enjoyment in movement. That's where the mindset shift has to happen too. Don't view it as like, oh, I have to work out again, or really find enjoyment in, like, oh, I get to kind of reset my brain, and I get to have a refresher. And uh, you know we need to switch that to it being an active rest, because essentially that's what it is. And I know it might not sound like it when we're moving and sweating and doing all of that, but really it's an active rest, because we're allowing our brain and our eyes to get them to silence all the noise and the media, and just the electronics that's around us. Like, we get to silence
Yeah.
that, and just, again, it's a whole, like, reset is how I like to view it.
I love that. It again, mind thought process, changing it up because I do look at going in my room and using that godforsaken machine as a punishment.
What machine?
I got, I don't know, it was a TikTok machine where it's an ab crunch, but you can use it like do different things with it. So of course and I stopped because I may have pulled something because I'm old. So I stopped because I'm like, okay, I don't want to hurt myself. And that was the whole thing. I'm not in this. I'm trying to just have fun with it. And I really hate it. I'm just so I decided I decided that okay, Mother's Day weekend is coming up. Because we're recording this before Mother's Day weekend. Mother's Day weekend is coming up. So I will use the pool because next week it's supposed to be 90 outside
Ooh.
and everything like that. So that'll be great. No strain and stress on my joints. I can swim. And then when I'm tired of swimming, I can just jump in the lounger. I can read my books. That's what I'm going to do all weekend. My friend's like, "Yeah, right, Jen. You're not gonna do that because you work all the time." And I'm like, "Okay, well, writing doesn't count as work." But I was like, "Yes, I'm gonna get out there. I'm gonna do this. I wanna walk my dogs. I wanna have some time with them." And because I just feel like, I'm not getting enough time with my dogs because of my schedule. And I'm so excited. I'm actually looking forward to next weekend. I'm hyping myself up because if it keeps getting warm, well, when it'll eventually get to, 100, like it normally does out here in Arizona. I'll be able to be out I'll be able to be out in the pool. And then that's less stress on my joints and stuff. And it'll actually feel better where I'll actually get some work in. So I'm excited about that because swimming is fun
Mhm.
versus using some horrible machine that you're looking at it going, "Why am I doing this?"
And companies are just like hoping like their marketing just has to be spot on, right? And then
Yeah.
you buy their product and then just collects dust because they're just
Well, and they make it look like it's so simple to use. But of course, they've got these hottie bodies on there that are using them. Girls with nice big butts, very thin waists, 20. I'm
yeah,
not 20.
20, yeah,
But,
exactly,
of course,
20.
I'm still looking at that going, "If I use that machine, I can look like I'm 20 again." No, the fuck you can't, Jen. I need to just get with it that I am gonna be 48 this year, and it is gonna be okay. I
Yeah,
don't need to I don't need to look like I'm 20 anymore.
yeah,
I don't, but, I have that, and I think that is also screen time issues too,
yeah. By the
mental.
way, 48, you are not near my parents' age. That's hilarious. And also, I'm looking forward to my 40s. I don't know. Like,
I love it. It's
I
your
started
villain
my
era.
30s though too. Yeah,
What's that?
yeah. I said the same thing about my 30s as I, surpassed my 20s. So I don't know.
And I did too.
I just feel like there's more wisdom and growth and healing that comes with every year, but also to every decade.
Well, that's putting it politely. That's very diplomatic. It's more like you just stop giving a shit.
Like honestly, after
It's your
having
villain era. It's
yeah,
definitely "Oh, you're mad at me? Who cares?"
yeah, yeah, and honestly, like after having kids, I'm just like, I just don't have the capacity. I don't have the energy to care about this anymore.
Yes.
Like,
And at 40, well, my children are grown. So, my kids were all grown by the time I was 41. So, I went through my 40s like, "I don't give a shit about you or anything that you got to say. I'm in my villain era. I don't care." Nobody. I raised 3 teenagers at the same time. Bitch, you are not going to bother me.
oh my goodness, this is hilarious.
And it really is. It's a beautiful moment when you realize I don't have to care. Because when you're younger, that's kind of the mindset. Everybody makes you feel like you have to care about everybody else.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be a nurturing mom. You're supposed to be No, it's
It,
lies. I'm here to tell you it's lies.
yep, yep. You have to always like be perfect and have your A game on and oh my gosh. Yeah.
And look pretty and make sure you don't I look like a bridge troll today. And
And
I even, and I did a little bit. I combed my hair.
I only have makeup on because we went to church this morning. But other than that, I'm still very much postpartum and like just living in PJs.
Yeah. Well, hey, you're already halfway there to your 40s. So, yeah,
Yeah,
you got the PJs down.
exactly. Exactly.
'Cause, you used to I in my 20s, I'm like, "Oh, I'm going to the store. I gotta look good. Because what if I see somebody that I know I'm at the store and it's like, no, nobody there's people in their pajamas and I'm like, "What are you doing? You're outside." I'm in my 40s. I go everywhere in my pajamas because my pajamas are the same thing that I wear through the day when I'm on my days off. It's
Oh
literally
my
the
God.
same thing. Yes, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I'm comfortable and I don't care.
Oh my gosh. I love But yeah, no, I completely agree. I'm sure you've heard of Mel Robbins, and I've been actually reading her book, Let Them.
Okay.
And
How is
that,
that?
yeah, it's good. I really like it because it's giving it's reframing the mindset of let them choose to walk away, let them hurt you, let
Yes.
them, because you're giving the power back to yourself in terms of you're not allowing emotional hurt to take control, to own you, right? Like
Yeah.
let them make their own decisions, but then also to let yourself grow and heal and allow yourself to go a different direction. It's
And
really
learn from it.
yeah, absolutely. It's really
And
fascinating.
that's a lot of, I think, people's problems today. We
Hmm.
really care what other people think about us, and we really wanna stop things from happening, especially love, those love life, the women in that are trying to keep boyfriends and trying to keep husbands. Honey, you shouldn't have to try to keep your husband. You
Right,
shouldn't have to try to keep your boyfriend.
right.
Let him be him. Stop
Hmm.
trying to anticipate his moves. He's gonna do it whether you're watching him or not.
Right,
And
right.
that was something that I tried to explain to my daughters because, I think it's very important to raise very strong, independent women, obviously, growing, when they're growing, and letting them understand that, "Hey, you don't need to troll them, you're not their mom. Stop watching them because if they're gonna screw up, they're gonna screw up. You might not find out about it until later, but you'll still find out about it. And
Hmm.
trust and believe, it's not gonna be whether you find out today or you find out next week, it's not gonna hurt any less.
Hmm.
It's just how are you gonna handle it, and how are you going to behave and handle yourself? Are
Yeah.
you gonna be one of those people that, flies off the handle and goes after, let's say your dude's cheating and you go after the girl. That was him. That was a choice he had and he made, not her. I mean, yeah, she's part of it, but for me, it was always that's not someone you don't need to fight for anybody.
Hmm.
I mean, not that way.
Right, right, right. We can't control other people's behavior.
Yes.
What we can do is control how we react. And that's
And
the
let
whole,
them is perfect.
yep, yep, absolutely.
Let them be, let them be, and that's absolutely correct. People are gonna have their opinions of you regardless of whether you wear makeup or not.
Hmm.
People are gonna have it's stop worrying about other people,
Yep.
and that's one thing that I really appreciated about turning 40. I was just like, "I don't care." And I mean, it happened a lot earlier with other people. In my 30s and 40s, it started becoming a family thing because there were some issues with family, and so but being able to say, "I'm not people pleasing for you anymore."
Yep.
Even if it's just one person a month that you decide, "I'm not people pleasing for you anymore. I'm
Yep.
not here on this earth to please just you." And
Hmm.
you start reining in your power back, and I
Yep.
think that is so important.
Yeah. Fully agree. Fully agree. Um, oh, I lost my train of thought. I was listening to you so intently.
Mom brain,
Yeah.
choo-choo.
I mean, I was definitely a people pleaser. Yeah, I was definitely a people
Yeah,
pleaser, and it's amazing. Again, it's that whole mindset shift of um, taking control of, finding out, discovering your worth, your value,
yeah,
and and not to mention, I personally think like there, I have this theory, and I mean, I think it's pretty solid, but there's so many emotions. People are so emotionally hurt and suppressing emotions that
mhm,
they are unintentionally hurting people around them,
yes,
whether if it's, spouting off on the internet, or it's, just being cutting off people while driving, or, slamming the door in someone's face. And, I think there's so many people carrying around emotional trauma that they haven't realize, they haven't healed, they haven't processed. And with that being said, it's just this big cycle of just going through generations to generations to generations. And until we acknowledge and be like, wait, 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 we are not meant to live like this. We are not meant to
Nope.
be angry and jealous and, anxious and depressed and just, or even just mediocre and just living. I'm not saying, everyone needs to live glamorous lives or to go out and do this and big accomplishments. I'm saying to find the joy in what you're doing in your day to day. Look up, listen to the birds around you, feel the sunshine, smell the flowers, smell whatever the food, like just find enjoyment in your day to day, and that is how
Yep.
you romanticize your life. There was a term
Yeah.
that that went around on the internet a couple years ago, but it's totally true though, because no one else is going to romanticize it for you. You need to find great joy.
Fall in love with yourself.
Absolutely. Like your
And
life,
that's
you
a
gotta figure
huge
it out.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And you know, I'm bringing it back to that hurt people. That is true, because, they get upset and they try to take it out and they're taking it out on the wrong person. And that's something else that a lot of people aren't trying to kind of focus on is if you're mad at somebody, be mad at that person. Don't take it out on everybody else. The slamming of the door in people's faces and just being rude to wait staff. I can't stand people that are rude to wait staff for no reason.
Yeah.
I can't stand it. You might have the sweetest wait staff and there's somebody that's sitting there like, "Oh my God." Rah, rah, rah." I can't stand people like that. I hate it. And to me, it's just your day. You're not here to make other people's lives miserable. If you're miserable, that's fine.
Mhm.
Go be miserable.
Yeah.
But I'll be hoping, sending you good vibes, hoping that you get out of your misery. But I just don't understand this whole everybody, it's either all or nothing. You have to pick a side, and that's not how this is.
Oh, yeah, like politics and the binary and oh,
Everything,
yeah,
yes.
I get it. So I remember I was in therapy at the time, 2015, 2016. That's when I noticed like a shift in social media. And I
Mhm.
asked my therapist, I'm like, social media is not fun anymore. Like it's supposed to be social and lighthearted. And
Yeah,
I came from the
it was
MySpace
supposed to be
days.
fun.
Yeah, like I came from the MySpace days when there was like surveys and like what do you
Yes.
do and like what's your favorite, all this fun stuff. And I'm like, where is this politic talk coming from? And like, man, now it's um just this group think and this collectivism. And if you don't think this way,
Yeah.
then you're, stupid, immoral, like,
Yeah.
well, and I'm just
You're the problem.
we brought up RFK earlier, and I'm sorry, but how can you disagree? I don't agree with everything politically that he has,
Right.
like who he is and what he stands for.
Agreed.
Dang, like I mean, come on, the food died. Like we're talking about just healthier foods for people. Like, how can you
Exactly.
disagree with that? But
How
people
do you
are.
politicize that?
Even better, even better.
How do you politicize that and make it a big deal? Oh, they're trying to no, honey, they've been trying for a long time. Look at the 50s and the 70s. How many fat people were there? Look at us now.
Yeah.
We're freaking fat. We're all fat, and that's I'm positive that the only way that you're not fat is if you got your own garden in your yard and you're butchering your own animals.
Every little
That I
scratch. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
So, it's I guess there's really I really hope that the mindset eventually changes because I really think that COVID really did a number on us. There's
Mhm.
some people that can't handle isolation as well as others. I was fine. I was glad to not have to be around people,
Oh my gosh, I love it.
but other people they went crazy, and that's exactly what is happening is everybody's going crazy, and they're, you know, it's done on COVID did a number on people's brain processes, and it just proves right there that there are some people that need to be around people so that they understand how to behave and how to act.
Yeah, yeah. And it's interesting you brought up COVID because I actually brought up, or I talked about COVID and just with the woman at church earlier today, and just I'm like, what a dystopian time that was in
Oh
our,
my gosh, yeah.
and I can't believe what we allowed the government to do,
Yes.
for the sake of what? To feel safe, like,
Have
I don't
you Now, so going back to RFK, he wrote a book, The Real Anthony Fauci.
Mm. I
That book,
I've heard about it
first
though.
of all, I listened to the audio book. It's 30 motherfucking hours.
Wow.
Yeah, but you need to, if you can get it on
I do.
Audible, I highly recommend RFK's The Real Anthony Fauci. You will be so mad.
Mm.
And and I'm actually getting ready to start another podcast where I'm going completely herbal. Everything is going to be talking about holistic health, herbal
Yeah.
remedies, all that stuff. I'm doing research right now because I'm researching the AMA, the American Medical Association.
Oh,
I'm
that's
researching the FDA. I'm researching all that stuff. And a lot of this is happening because not only do I have a love of herbs and I take a ton of them anyways, but I have um I have listened to RFK's book, and his book is, it just opens your eyes and you're just like, "Oh my god, we allow this, how is Fauci not in prison?"
yeah.
And Bill Gates, not
Yeah.
gonna lie, Fauci and Bill Gates, both of them, how are they not in prison? Definitely check it out. Everybody who's watching this, check it out. It is a very good book full of facts. This
Mm.
is researchable stuff. So it's everything that you can look up yourself, if you really wanted to. Some parts might not be because Anthony Fauci's a turd. He's a
Yeah.
turd.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the book recommendation. I will
Yeah.
absolutely put it on my summer to read list.
Definitely listen to that, whenever you've got time, because it's a really, really good listen. And you're definitely going to be upset about a lot of stuff. And there's a point where I was almost brought to tears
Mm.
in a point of the book because it involves children.
Yeah.
And it's just this man, anyways. But it, we allow these people in charge, and there's a very few of us that see them for what they are, and then there's some that are like, oh well, let's give them a chance. We need to go back to having our own gardens. We need to go back to that, should be taught in school. We need to go
Mhm.
back to having finances be taught in school. I don't care about algebra. Nobody uses algebra out of high school unless they get into maybe engineering, maybe
Right.
chemistry.
Right. In this day of age, well, think about the jobs that are being created nowadays. They didn't exist 10 years ago, 20 years
Right.
ago. So even, my husband and I, we are actually going to homeschool our children. And it's so weird looking back. I went to a small private school, and like even then, homeschooling, if you were homeschooled, you were considered the weird ones.
Yes.
I'm just hoping and praying to be completely open and honest with our children and why we're homeschooling them. Um,
Mhm.
Times are so different now. And
They
like
are.
you said, the things that like these need to be taught, right? The
Mhm.
very things that you mentioned. I mean, we need to get back to our roots. We need to get back to
Yes.
what truly matters and how we can find healing, not only physically, but mentally, emotionally, moving forward in life.
Auto mechanics and all that stuff used to be taught. Now it's a vocation and you have to have special privileges to go into that. No, that's
Yeah.
not, I would have loved to have gone into auto mechanics. Of course, now I say that, but when I was in high school, I did have the opportunity going when I went to Penna back home in Ohio.
Mhm.
I had the opportunity, but I chose security and law enforcement.
Mm.
Um, I was always drawn to law enforcement, and I hate now that I'm in my 40s. I hurt so bad because I was drawn to law enforcement. But um, the the things that need to be taught in schools, school
School.
is supposed to be there to give you the basic education, and that then university is supposed to be for afterwards the specializing. I don't understand why we're trying to teach college level courses in high school to children. I mean, definitely they're sponges and they'll learn a lot better, but they don't know how to balance a damn checkbook. They don't even know what one is anymore. I didn't get that. I think my grade, did you have home ec in school?
I did. Hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So they don't have it anymore.
Granted, home ec then was a little bit of sewing. I think the sewing, but also too it was
Yeah.
cooking.
Yep.
Yeah. And I'm trying
And
to
then
think
my
what else.
favorite was when
But yeah,
our home ec teacher tried to tell us how to wash our hair. And I'm just thinking, isn't that the parents' job to teach you how to do that? It was
yeah.
just it was so
Oh,
weird. but, but yeah.
yeah.
So I just I home ec
Mine was
is
on the
gone now though.
mm,
Home ec is just gone now. I just don't understand why would they took that out. It's necessary. And yes, a lot of this stuff does need to be taught at home, like measuring and stuff like that, but it should be a continuation of what you're being taught in school. Women don't need to be
mhm,
taught how to cook except for maybe by their parents. They need to be taught how to take care of their car. Men
mhm.
should be in home ec as well, learning how to
Yeah.
cook. Just
I was going to
like,
say,
yeah, it needs to be, you need to know how to change a tire. You need to know how to cook. You need to know how to bake. And you need
so
to know how to balance your finances.
yeah. One I will say one positive about living in this era, like this
Mhm.
decade, whatnot, is YouTube. You can look up a lot of things and how to's. It
Yes.
is sad that unfortunately, we have to look that up, but
Right.
I agree. I mean, these are basic things that we should know how to do.
And like I've replaced um valves and solenoids on my daughter's car and did YouTube University. It worked out great. It was beautiful, and I'm very grateful for that. I am grateful for that technology that was made available because in my age, I'm literally the age of we didn't have computers until like the 90s. And we had to do everything. We were just learning. We had to type on, like, when I was young, we had a Commodore 64, one of the first ones, and we programmed our games out of a magazine. So that I mean, we were coders before we even knew what it was. So it's like, God forbid
Right.
you get one symbol wrong and your whole thing is blown and you yeah, it's horrendous.
Oh my
But
goodness.
we were kind of that there weren't as many cameras around when I was growing up as there are when you were growing up, which isn't too far off, but it's still, you still had more cell phone cameras, more cell phones.
Yeah, I want to say I got my first phone when I was like 15 or 16. It was just a flip phone. I mean, I don't even think maybe there was a camera on it, but we're talking 2 megapixels. A huge
Right.
person. But
Right.
right. But yeah, I mean, kids, unfortunately, bless my daughter's heart, it kind of actually made me sad. It's just out of habit, taping
Yeah.
and filming, and I love to capture these moments, even with my son, who's an infant, who he's 6 months old now, but he's 3 months adjusted. He was a NICU baby. He came early.
Yeah.
But I just like I mentioned to my husband actually on the way to church this morning. I feel like it was yesterday though. And I'm like, we weren't going to church yesterday. So I don't know where we were driving. But anyways, I mentioned to my husband recently, I'm like, I don't know if I soaked in all the first 8 weeks when they're an infant. I'm like, I don't know if I captured enough. And he's like, Vanessa, this is the first time in history that we actually have a camera glued to us. He's like,
Yes.
well, our parents and they had the Polaroids and 8 films per whatever package. And
Yeah.
he's like, this is the first time ever that like he's like, I'm sure you have enough photos of, videos of what it
Unlimited photos
yeah,
at your disposal.
yeah. And what the story that I was sharing this past week was I took my daughter to a park and I've really been loving the slow motion on the setting on my camera just to really capture her smile in slow motion, to slow it down and to really see it.
Yeah.
One of the times I was getting her down the slide, it was probably the third time or so, but I was filming her and she's like, "No, no, mama, no, no." And I'm like, "Oh," and she like batted my phone away. I'm like, that's so true because all she sees
Yeah.
is a camera in front of her face.
Yeah.
Opposed to like she
She
wants to
wants that moment with you.
know. So yeah. And I'm like, that was a gut reality check for sure.
And it is, and I that is one thing that I didn't have to deal with was a camera in my face 24/7, you know, and, I grew up in the time of your phone was still plugged into the wall. We didn't
Mm.
even have cordless phones when I was yo well, I mean,
Yeah,
when I
yeah.
was yeah, a little bit older, I we had cordless phones, but it was just we didn't have car phones, we didn't have cell phones, it was pagers when I was a teenager, and it's just it's such a different era to grow up in and to think it's happening right in front of your face, and even you have said it, you know, seeing just from your childhood to now what these kids are having to deal with and go through, it's just mind-boggling that history is happening right in front of your face, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that all they remember to do is take a picture. I get mad at myself because I don't remember to pull out my camera on my phone. I never remember, and
Yeah.
there was an incident yesterday where I was like, "Damn it, I wish I woulda had my phone out." My dog, Nova, she loves the sun.
Mm.
She's laid out, belly up to the sky, just laid out, and she does this to my husband regularly. She won't come in. She's laying out, and you need to leave her alone. So he has to walk over there, rub her belly so that she'll get up so that she can come inside.
Aw.
And she'll do it when it's 115 out. And, I was terrible about it when I had the kids when they were younger. I'm terrible about it when I got my dogs, and they have a shorter lifespan.
Yeah.
So but I have some pictures that I'll be able, my boys looking at me like, I heard you say me. Um, I have some pictures of them. It's gonna be rough when they do pass, but, I really would have liked to have captured that moment for, another day whenever they are gone, that I can look back on it and be like, "Remember Nova used to do this?" But I don't know. It's time flies, time flies. Don't miss out on the moments. So,
Yeah.
we are out of time, girl. I'm gonna have to get you back on.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I would love that.
Awesome. All right. Well, I wanna thank you for being here. I want you to tell everybody first, where can they find you if they wanna talk to you about coaching?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, X, which is Twitter. It's all at Vanessa L. Leonard. So it's just my name, and just to clarify, there are two L's because the middle L is my middle name. But yeah, just reach out to me. I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear your story and see if we would make a good team.
And I'm telling you guys, this girl is legit. She knows her stuff, and she definitely has it down. Give her a try, give her a call, message her, whatever you need to do. Take back your life. And that's pretty much what Vanessa is all about, is taking back your life. So
Yeah, living it holy.
thank you
Yeah,
so much. Thank you
yeah.
so, so much for being here. I adore you. I
Oh,
appreciate you being here. Thank you. And we will see you next time on Foulkin Around.
yes.
Until then, have a good day and be safe.